Hey, Doug, it's Garrick. You're never gonna believe where I am, dude. I'm drinking with Kevin Spacey, man, at his place.
You know what, buddy? You know what we got here? Fucking Charlie Bronson.
I don't know, it's a big nothing burger. It's like a really shiny turd.
You could have been in the fucking Clockwork Orange with the fucking eyeball locks. There's no kind of scenario where this ends up a good movie.
Now, after Body of Lies, Robin Hood, Prometheus, I was just like, I think we're done, man.
Chill the fuck out and not just reach across this desk and smack those fucking glasses off your head. Meeting you with a view to a kill. Hey, pal, suck one.
I'm really gonna miss the podcast.
Oh, it's gonna miss you too.
Far back as I can remember, I never wanted to die in some asshole's trunk.
Heineken, fuck that shit. Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Get off our page if you're not gonna listen to our podcast.
Lick my plate.
Drainage, Eli, you boy. Welcome to Tales from the Video Store, the number HUNDO. We have made it to 100. How we feeling today, boys?
I'm literally like 6 fucking feet away from you. Why are you screaming in your face? You better calm the fuck down.
I'm excited. I still have COVID lung from episode 66 or some shit like that. Anyway, Doug and I were just talking, Lee. I remember episode 15, and now we're like at 100. What the fuck has happened?
I remember getting to 20 and being like, damn, dude, I can't believe we just did 20 of these fucking things.
And now we're at 100.
And now we are 5 times further down the street.
Exactly.
Yep, and in episodes...
Which means since September 2018, none of us have had anything better to do.
No shit. They suck.
You're right, man. You're right. I remember calling you. I got the office, and I was trying to drum up business. I walked away from all my Greenville stuff because it was just becoming too much of a issue driving. It was just too much time. So I ended up with this like void of work, and I was like, "Hey, you want to do a movie podcast?" And Lee was driving at an hour and 30 minutes.
Oh yeah.
An hour and 30 minutes here and an hour and 30 minutes back just to record this thing.
I miss those days tremendously.
Yeah,
I'm sure you probably don't, but I do. I really do.
It was really fun. It was.
Yeah.
I believe we started like the first, I guess it was up until Mandy, or a little bit after that, where we were actually physically watching the movie here.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then doing it. And then we realized that was just such a time sucker. And it really, as if we don't have anything better to do, but Lee, since this has started, has moved in with a girl. You've gotten married.
Sure.
I've got a full-time job. Like, it's everything's changed. But I remember we were talking about how we went a whole month from March 3rd to March 26th when the pandemic a year ago happened. And we did episode 66 where it was just Doug and I. And we did Contagion. And you weren't here and weren't on the podcast. And I think that was the only one that you missed. But I remember doing that one, and then you started phoning in, and we've been doing that ever since. So We've done 34 episodes in this new format.
A fucking year.
Yeah. And the only reason that we get Doug here in the office is because he physically drives right by the office on his way home from work. So
it's on the way.
Yeah, it's a piece of cake. But anyway, that's right. You know what? It doesn't matter how many listeners or what it is. We've had a good time. And, my wife, it's funny, and I won't disclose numbers, but my accountant just told me We're trying to do my taxes and figure out how much money, like from the pandemic, from the government gave me on the pandemic assistance, and we're just trying to figure out what we could write off. And the amount of money spent on the podcast, podcasts don't make much money. Even with sponsors, you don't make much money. But, she says, you've got quite a loss here. And, my response was, well, a cocaine habit would be worse. I have
Hookers and cocaine would probably cost you about the same. Might be a little bit more fun, but a little bit less. This is a little bit less dangerous.
It depends on the quality of product that you're buying.
On both ends, the prostitute and the coke. You're right. Okay.
Yeah, it says. But I do enjoy this, and it's worth every minute and every penny. I mean, we've had some good times, right? We've had some great episodes in our last 2 years. Lee, you got any highlights that stand out from our last 100 hours or hours plus of this?
Absolutely. I've gone back and I've looked through, I went to the website, videotales.com, for anybody who hasn't been there. And I was just scrolling through, looking at them. I just realized how many movies we've cut, like 100. That's a lot of episodes.
Oh, it is.
If we were a TV show, we'd be able to syndicate it.
You're absolutely right. We were just before we got on the phone with you. We're like, dude, we're just like kind of scrolling through, going, my gosh.
You think about it like this: there's the one movie, the focus movie, and then each of us having sometimes 2, 3, 4 different fucking movies we're talking about.
When we were off, remember we were unemployed from the pandemic?
I was coming in with like a dozen. Like I got a list here.
You're like breaking them out. Like, I watched this 3 weeks ago. Last 3 weeks ago.
We have discussed at some length, I would guesstimate, somewhere between 600 and 1,000 movies on this podcast.
That sounds about right.
And 100 episodes, I would say.
That sounds about right.
That's crazy.
That's a fucking ton.
That is.
After looking back at the old episodes, I would say, because we originally had a different title for the first few months.
We did.
We did, and there was not a legal issue, but, there was a previous existing podcast that had the same title. And they're still going as far as I know. And but I would say about episode 18 is when our first, because we originally didn't have this format, we just watched random movies. There was no, format to the show. In episode, I think it's 18, is our first block was 80s and 90s action movies, sort of forgotten action movies. So I'd say around that time we started to really gel as far as the show.
Yeah.
Some of those first 17 episodes are there's some really good ones. The one where we covered Vice Squad, the Neon Sign episode, that's a great episode.
Fade into black, the Neon Slide.
But I think after 18, we started, it became the show it is now.
Yeah.
What was our first one? The Kill List.
Kill List, yeah.
How about that? Movie. Golly, that's crazy, man.
Yeah. And Doug, you showed up, on episode 3 or 4?
He came in at Mandy.
Okay.
So, and that's a good question. But, I remember calling him, your first pick-a-flick video, your first pick-a-flick was Brawl at Cell Block. Mm-hmm. And when I watched that movie, I immediately thought of Doug. I was like, dude, Doug would love this movie. So I called Doug, or I texted him and said, dude, you got to watch this movie. I know you haven't heard about it. Hey, by the way, you should come do this thing with us. It's pretty cool. You'll love it. We're getting ready to watch this Mandy
And
movie.
if you listen to the first probably dozen episodes that I'm on here, I'm very articulate. I try and make these really nice sentences and really construct these arguments, pros and cons of whatever.
And then you realize you're talking to an idiot.
Now it's devolved into I'm just like a fucking caveman on here, and that's fine. That's fine.
And also the first 2 or 3 you didn't say much.
Well, no. Because remember, Mark Rose was still here, and...
That's also true. And by the way, is he hiding in the bathroom? Is he going to make some sort of surprise guest appearance?
Hey, I was going to talk about that episode. Let's see, what was that? Prime Meat.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2.
Yes, and we were doing it straight from the spot.
Yeah.
And he shows up at the end. I mean, that was a great show, man. That one was a really good show.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of our best episodes.
I think so. There's been a bunch of great
What's weird
ones.
is we just set it up in the back of a comic book store, and it sounds really good. And then we did other episodes like that where it was sort of live, and it doesn't sound as good. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that back room at the spot is nice. It's all concrete, so there's no. It's not like most of the ones you hear are in my office, which is, if anybody's ever seen my office, it's like a shed and it's wood, and so our acoustics. I don't have foam up or anything like that, so our acoustics, our voices are bouncing, and it sounds really canny, but whatever.
It is what it is.
It sounds like Mank, right?
Yeah. Yeah, with the film
It's
burns
intentional,
out.
right?
Yes, it's intentional.
Yeah, okay.
But we episode 11 when I did the Henry Plainview for the first time with the drainage. Remember we did the crit. Let's see, we had the delicious necks and dark shadows where I did the vampire spot.
Oh yeah.
And nobody remember. I could not find where we're talking about Kevin Spacey. But do you remember the video where we faked the answer machine call from Kevin Spacey's house?
I can't remember which episode.
That was like, I think about 14 or 15.
Yeah.
That was right before we changed the name of the show.
Yeah, it was because it still had. That's right, because it still had the. That's why I didn't. That's it, Lee. That's why I couldn't find it because I was looking in the tails. But you're right. It had the. It was still Midnight Drive-In.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll have to find that.
Because I think it was something Spacey in the name. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was like "Welcome to Kevin's House" or something weird.
Yeah, that was like a week after all those allegations came out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it's the 3% separation. I don't know. Oh, look, I'm gonna start playing it. Yeah, man, we've had some fun. Doug was talking about. We just had some fun. I remember like my whole we had the bathwater special, and then remember we had the Big Kill episode 42 where my buddy Clint came on. And we did another live show where we had Clint on the iPad. That was cool.
That was fucking cool as fuck. To me, one of the coolest episodes we've done.
Yeah, our first and only interview so far.
Yeah. And I'm not going to say it was one of our best, because I think it would have been nice to have had like a trial run. You know what I'm saying? Like a trial run. I think it would have come across a little bit better. But in retrospect, just, watching a movie on Netflix and then chatting it up with the cat who was in it was cool as shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, it was very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
I mean, going to see, the last Halloween movie, we were set up at a table, at a movie theater. There's crowds walking by. They're like, who the fuck are these guys?
That's right.
And
wow, yes.
Talking to Garrick about Eric Roberts.
Yes. Good
that
stuff.
was great, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about the Halloween episode. That was our first live episode.
It was.
Yeah. Yeah, very good.
And I can't remember which one that was. Was that the blueprint of horror?
Yes.
Yes, it was.
Mm-hmm.
Episode number 6.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was episode 5, The Art of Drinking Bathwater. And then there was episode 4, There's Always Barber College, where we talked about Roadhouse. Man, wow.
That was a good one. That was maybe our first one where I was like, okay, this might actually work. Maybe. We'll see.
Yep.
The episode number 49, excuse me, the Gasper No was a good one too. Remember we just thrashed him and his movies. Well, that's crazy.
It was well deserved.
I think it was well deserved.
And I stand by every word of that.
Yes, as do I.
Yep, I do too. Definitely stand by it.
If there's anybody on the show we've made fun of, it's definitely if there's a patron douche of the show, it's definitely Jared Leto.
Yes.
And that was on, I think that was the episode we covered in Bruges. That was,
Yes.
I don't even know how he even came up in it, but
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we talked about it for like 10 minutes.
yeah. And it was glorious.
Well, and, him and poor Robert, I said Robert. Poor Rob Zombie has been the blunt of many of our rants.
Yeah,
Yours,
that was
yours specifically.
Yeah, definitely mine specifically. And then the English dude who's not quite done yet.
I saw him on TV just the other day, and he still looks like a giant premature baby.
So,
and I still can't remember his name. It's Eddie something.
Eddie Redmayne.
Eddie Redmayne, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's funny. Doug and I were talking before we get into our favorite movies and favorite moments. We were talking like if you're not a listener of Tales from the Video Store, and you just stumbled across our channel on SoundCloud, and you saw the purple and the pink, and you just started reading some of the titles, would you be enticed to listen or not? Because let me just go through just some of the ones.
Some of the better ones.
Yes. Well, we had, Tell Him I'm Coming. That's great. Okay, so we've got Don't Eat the Pustard.
Right.
We've got the Triple Fish Sandwich, the VHS Save, James and the Vagina. Oh, and episode 31, the Thanos Snap. When Lee gives me the Thanos Snap. Oh, and then episode 32, he's not done yet.
Yeah.
Ninja Centric. And it only gets worse. We got a couple more I want to go through. Crickets.
Ninja Centric's pretty self-explanatory.
That's true. Episode actually 39, Crickets, was Feast. And I have to say that was probably our worst episode of all. It was my least favorite.
I think I would agree with that. You listen to that, it's three dudes who just don't give a shit.
Yeah, and and we had nothing to say about it. The title is Crickets, because I literally added a cricket soundtrack into these long pauses because we had nothing to say about that fucking movie.
Right.
Anyway, the Fun Sucker. Oh, but here, this is where it's good. The Lemon Squint Sourwegger.
Which, if anyone doesn't know, is a reference to Renee Zellweger.
That's correct. Fairy.
Who is the female Jared Leto of the show.
Yes, that is true. And then we have the hashtag #MeToo episode 52 entitled Muffin Puff.
Right.
And then there's just a couple more I would like to get into, like Babble Bunch I can't even say it. Babble Bunch Cumberbund.
Yeah.
Which was what's his name? From
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah, Benedict Cumberbatch.
Who also looks like he could go back in the oven for a few minutes.
Yeah, maybe. What is it with those English guys?
He's not necessarily not done yet. He's just a little, you could just, he needs just a couple minutes in there.
And then Beetlejuice Cabbage Patch. Rapey McSevered Head. I mean, would anybody listen to this damn podcast? Touch cock heavy.
Judging by our listenership, the answer is no.
But they're great.
They are.
They're great because it's a personal thing, and if you listen to the episode, you'll get it, and if you don't, then you won't.
Yeah, because it's normally it's something one of us say in the actual show that just kind of catches everybody's ear, and that's how I use it. That's how I base the titles. So, well, anyway, we got movies to talk about. Since we've started this, what has been your favorite movie?
My favorite?
Yeah, that we've covered.
Favorite movie that we've covered since we started doing the podcast? For me, it's fucking Mandy, dude.
Still Mandy. The first one you come on is the best one.
I mean, I'm sorry. It's just everything, dude. It's fucking everything. And like a drug-induced, like, Jesus freak cult. You got demonic bikers. You got a fucking cheddar goblin. You've got Nick Cage in just, like, absolute, like, essence of cageness when he's in that bathroom and he chugs that fucking bottle of vodka. It's just, it's everything that I wanted it to be and even more. I still love the movie. I'll always love the movie. And the fact that it came out in 2018, you know, right when I started to do this, really doesn't have anything to do with it. It could have come out yesterday and it would still rise up the list. And there have been some great movies that we've watched that I probably normally would not have watched.
Right.
You know, one thing that I've gotten from this show, if nothing else, is I used to spend a lot of time watching shit that I knew I wasn't going to like. Because it was a new release or because it was the new big thing, and I would get suckered into watching it and just end up being like, why the fuck did I waste my time with that? I've gotten a lot better of being like, if I watch something shitty, that means I get to follow it up with 2 things that are kick-ass. That's kind of the new rule. And
there you go.
Yeah, so a lot less like Thin Red Line and a lot more like, you know...
Rapey McSevered head.
Exactly.
From Trauma.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, yeah. I get that, man. I think that doing this show has, what I probably would have, you know, I don't know. Before I did the podcast, I could sit around and watch. I'm like Lee. I could watch my same DVDs, the same movies over and over again. I could watch Bull Durham or Ed Wood on DVD every morning, whatever. I could just, and you know, I would, when movies would come out, I wouldn't look. I would just pick. I can just remember as the kids were young, the new releases would come out, and the new releases would be what the studio crammed down our throats, and it would be what was on the first menu of the streaming packages or whatever. It was whatever was at Carmike, and that's what we're going to see. I think if this podcast has done nothing else but become a complete loss on my taxes, it's also it's opened my eyes to all the alternative cinema that's out there. And I actually look now. I actually do search, and I actually go in and do subgenres, and you know, sometimes
and look for certain actors or certain directors that
absolutely
that 2 years ago I would have been like, I don't know who that is.
Yes, like Shudder, man. I got rid of Shudder, and then I'm like, fuck, I need Shudder back because that's where I'm going to watch all my shitty horror movies.
Yeah.
Like, you need that. Like, Prime is great. You just dig down, you find a shitty-looking case, and you go, ooh, an 87-minute movie from fucking Spain with a couple of freaking cowboy-hatted freaking sheriffs in it. Let's watch it. You know what I mean? That would never happen. It would never happen before the show.
Yeah.
So I get it.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate because my favorite movie that we've covered since we've been watching the show for me is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But that's a mainstream movie, but God, it was so fucking good.
But I'll say this, the reason that and you know, I had that in my notes as well as one of my favorite things is because you and I went to go see it together, you know, and then all three of us met here and just
a big fat J.
We were so fucking amped up because all three of us just couldn't stand how much we fucking loved it.
Right.
You know, when we did like a 90-minute fucking episode and
that we never released, it went on to the Patreon and nobody ever gave us a dime, so it's just quietly gone away.
Nobody ever heard it.
Nobody ever heard it.
And it was probably one of our best.
Yeah, probably.
But still, maybe we can revisit it sometime. Maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Lee? I mean, you've seen there's only been
movies I haven't seen before. I'd probably agree with Doug. I mean, you know, a lot of these movies that we've watched are movies I have seen before. Because especially, I'd say probably about the first 50, I was doing a lot of the choosing. Mm-hmm. Especially when I was bringing in DVDs for us to watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's just like Doug said, it's just like it's not like you were saying, Doug. I mean, Garrick. It's not like the movies, the top 10 of Netflix or whatever. It's something, you know. It's like there's a handmadeness to it.
Yeah.
And I can totally see people watching that movie and not liking it, but they would still have to appreciate it because it's, you know. And I've talked to people who just who bail out at like the 45-minute mark. They're like, "What's happening?"
It's
I'm
too
like,
much.
You got to get like to the hour mark when it goes insane. You know, because there's a lot of build-up, but it's you know, there's not another movie like it. You know, it's like as far as the last 2 years, it's not my, you know, it's not my favorite movie I've seen in the last 2 years. But as far as movies we've covered, it definitely is.
Right. Well, yeah. And see, that's kind of a thing on a kind of thing with me, man. There's been so many good ones. If you looked at me and said, okay, you can't do Quentin Tarantino, that's not fair. Then my next, I would probably say Low Life or Cell Block, Brawl and Cell Block would be my next favorite two movies that we've covered.
Right.
On the,
Well,
and
we did an episode on Low Life.
No, we didn't. But I would have never, never watched
Right.
that movie. That movie would have never happened had you not gotten on here and made that one of your pick-a-flicks.
Yeah.
You know what I
love
mean?
it.
I'd have never
I
even
love
heard of
it.
that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We Own the Night is another little jewel piece that might have gotten lost in my Netflix. You know, I may have never found it had you not come in and been absolutely blown away by it.
Witching and Bitching. I mean,
We Own the Night.
We Own the Night.
No, The Night Comes For Us.
Fuck.
The Night Comes For, yes, that's, yeah.
What the fuck is We Own the Night?
We Own the Night's
I have
another
no
one on
idea. I was
Netflix
wondering.
with.
I think I watched it too, but you know what I'm talking about now, Lee.
The Night Comes For Us, that is my favorite movie I've seen since we started doing the podcast. Because immediately after I finished watching it, I wanted to watch it again.
Yeah.
Like, not 5 minutes, but I was watching it at a buddy of mine's house, and when it got to playing, I just wanted to hit play again.
Yeah.
It's just, I can say without doubt that's the most entertaining movie I've seen since 2018.
It's the shit, dude. I love it.
But I kind of, then when I rewatch it or rewatch parts of it on Netflix, I forget how violent it is. It is, yeah.
It is definitely violent.
It could be the most violent action movie ever made.
It's up there.
Yeah, that last fight when they're in the warehouse and he sticks the utility knife to the hero's jaw is,
Yeah.
There's some rough, but but not only that, it's just the fight with the operator, the main female character, and the two female assassins in it. That's probably the best fight in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and but it's like 45 minutes in. Like, there's so much in that movie. It's like, it's like a buffet of awesomeness.
It really is. That just keeps...
Not as good as We Own the Night, but what is?
God damn it. Well...
You had a little Garrick moment there where you got
I fucked that
words
up.
all touched
Well,
up.
it happens. It does happen. And like a more popular movie that I think surprised all of us that was also on Netflix was Extraction. I don't think anybody expected it to be what it was. And to be quite honest with you, I would put it up there as one of the better movies that I've seen probably in the last 2 years. Especially action movies. I just thought it was so well done. And
it was that guy's first movie as a director, too. That's just so impressive.
Yeah, it was talking about The Night Comes For Us, like it's not quite on that level, but damn, man, it's pretty fucking close in some parts.
It is. That was probably my favorite movie of last year.
Yeah.
2000. Yeah.
Good. Damn good movie.
Well, it's been 100 podcasts, and I got some good news for all the 6 listeners. We've got some new sponsors and some new things coming. We have changed the branding. We have actually added 3 new sponsors. All this stuff will be happening, and we'll make the announcement on 101, which is going to be 2 weeks from this episode because I'm going to be gone for a week. But we're getting everything finalized. But we're going to have some new sponsors. Going to have a new look. Going to have some good things coming.
Unfortunately, it's still just going to be the same 3 cocksuckers. Sorry.
Same 3 cocksuckers. Brand new look.
Yeah, it's like Lee said last week. You know, it's a polished up turd. I mean, and maybe that's what we are. And I'm fine with that.
It's a shiny turd.
Yeah.
Well, so we had some news. I got a quick news thing that that, I don't know if any of our listeners experienced this, but over the weekend, HBO Max, did you guys hear this? They made a mistake, and some people clicked on to watch Tom and Jerry and got the Schneider 4-hour cut.
I had heard that. I don't have HBO Max at the moment, so... But,
I do, but I didn't click on Tom and Jerry for some reason.
I didn't either. But some people didn't get it. It was like the Easter egg of all Easter eggs. Some people just, some parents probably were like, "Here, man,
you got 5 minutes of Tom and Jerry." Then it just cut to Ben Affleck in the bat suit, just humbling some dude's face.
Yeah,
that's pretty crazy. I wonder if they got that bug fixed or if that was purposeful.
I mean, it comes out in like
2 weeks.
I don't.
The 4-hour Justice League.
Fucking something,
yeah.
man.
Anyway.
I'm going to get sucked into it, I know, man, but...
That's cool.
Oh, I'm sorry, Lee. Go ahead, man. I'm talking over you.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I just said that's a lot of Justice League. That was my whole point.
Yeah. That is a lot of Justice League. That is for sure. So have you guys seen this movie, this show called Wynonna Earp? It's apparently some cult classic. Sci-Fi just dropped it. They're on season 4. They were halfway through season 4. IDW is their production company. They ran out of money to finish the episode or the season. Well, basically, season 3, the Sci-Fi dropped them on season 3, and the fans, their small fan base, were so mad that they went to donate money and make billboards, and like advertising companies would make billboards, and they were out raising money, and they raised enough money to do 4 episodes. They started doing the 4 episodes, and then the pandemic hit, and now they're looking for funds. That's crazy. It's so strange, like, to go 3 seasons. I've never heard of it, and maybe that's why they ran out of money. It's because so many people haven't heard of it. It apparently had 3 seasons on Sci-Fi, and it's gathered a very cult following. And I've never heard of it. And now they're basically looking for money to finish season 4.
Do you watch a lot of Sci-Fi?
I don't even have TV, though.
Okay, well then...
But you can't even watch it on the app. You can't watch it anywhere. I can't watch...
Well, hey, if they can find the money, good for them. It's kind of like the Snyder Cut. The fans just willed that into existence.
Right, I think it's cool, but...
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to watch the show, but
yeah.
I mean, good for them.
Yeah, I think that's cool. I mean, I think it's cool that there's that little amount of fan base were able to somehow raise half a season worth of money to shoot this. That's pretty good. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anybody else got any
They must have a lot of
news?
disposable income.
Yeah.
Goodness.
I think Nick Cage...
I wouldn't donate to have them film more episodes.
Yeah. Nick Cage got married, I think, for the... I don't know how many times.
5th time, I believe.
It's amazing. He's a fucking legend. And
Why would you get married 5 times?
Because you're fucking Nick Cage.
I wouldn't get married again, and I'm
more
Garrick
interested
Lane.
in the woman who, at this point, in 2021, has agreed to marry Nick Cage.
Yeah.
And she's like, wait, he's not going to be weird. I'm going to change him.
Yeah.
18 months later, when they're getting divorced, because he, walks around all day dressed like Elvis or whatever.
Yeah. Buying skulls and islands and dragons and fucking castles. God bless him.
Yep. What a lovable weirdo.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's a new show coming on TCM. I'm not sure if they're showing the films or just talking about them.
They are showing the films.
Now, but is it going to be intercut with the interviews with the hosts?
I think so. Either that or they're gonna do it beforehand or after.
Okay, see, I wasn't sure about that.
But they are showing the movies.
It's going to be mystery.
Well, see, that's good. It's called TCM Reframed, I believe.
Yeah.
And they're going to show movies that are now considered problematic, which some of these movies are problematic.
Right.
It's going to be mystery science theater for snowflakes.
Right, but hey, listen, at least they're talking. At least I would prefer them talk about it than just to not show.
Right.
And I would rather, here's also something else. There's some of these movies, like 2 of them in particular, I'll say Gone with the Wind and Breakfast at Tiffany's. I'm more concerned with them being considered classic films. I can tell you why I like Citizen Kane. without using the word classic or breathtaking and those bullshit critic words. I have never heard anyone explain to me why they like Gone with the Wind or Breakfast at Tiffany's without saying, oh, it's just a classic. Not only do I not think they're not classics, I don't think they're good movies. I mean, if people just want to have a poster of Audrey Hepburn on the wall, that's fine. But Breakfast at Tiffany's is a shitty movie. And Mickey Rourke's Japanese makeup on it is like the third thing that's shitty about it. I wouldn't even put that in the top two. It's just not a good movie. But anyway, go back to the point. I am glad they're still viewing these movies, talking about them. And like I said, there are some things in them that are. Because I was reading about one of them. It's some movie, Something of the Dragon, where Katharine Hepburn plays a Chinese woman who's like a farmer when the Japanese invaded China in World War II. And it's all just white people with like Chinese eye makeup on. Mm. And I watched a clip of it. It just looks fucking atrocious.
Yeah.
But I mean, at least they're not canceling. They're just, at least having a dialogue about it's better than just not showing them.
Right. I agree.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that the Psycho conversation's a little bit ridiculous.
I would absolutely 100% agree with that, because I guess the point is it's belittling trans people, but Norman Bates is not transsexual. He has multiple personalities.
Yeah, he's a fucking nutcase.
He's mentally ill. That's two completely. Now, the De Palma movie, Dressed to Kill, that's 100% the movie transsexual people should be mad about. Because Michael Caine's character that's the movie. Yeah. They're just focusing on the wrong movie. And I love Dressed to Kill, but it's, in today's, sort of sensitive times, it's probably, it's probably next on the chopping block.
I'm surprised it's not there already.
It's because it's not as popular.
Oh, right. Because nobody knows about it.
Nobody fucking knows about it.
Yeah, right. That's true. That's a good point.
The only reason they're attacking Psycho is because it's one of the most popular movies of all time.
Yeah.
Right. That's it.
That's true.
Because Norman dresses up like his mama.
Uh-huh. Yes, but he's not, he thinks...
He becomes her.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, it's not just...
Wait, did you just fucking ruin that film? You just ruined it.
Oh, I did. Fuck.
You just fucking blew it, dude. You just blew Psycho.
There's a shower scene in it.
Well, that's like me in freaking film school. We're talking about Alfred Hitchcock movies, and I stand up and ask the freaking ask the teacher, "Hey, at the end of Vertigo, does he jump or is he thrown off?" Like, not even thinking about what I was saying. I was just completely gave the movie away.
So, if you've gotten to the point where you're paying for film school, like you went to a very prestigious film school.
Yeah, and I'm doing a very unprestigious podcast about movies.
Well, that's on you. But my point is, if you got to that point and you hadn't seen Vertigo, then,
You probably didn't need to be there any fucking way.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
100%.
Absolutely. Yep.
So good on TMC?
TCM.
TCM.
Turner Classic Movies.
I think it's an excellent idea, and in this kind of like knee-jerk, reactionary kind of society that we're living in right now.
Fuck you! No, fuck you!
Taking a step back and getting a group of people together and having a discussion about something that is controversial is the absolute best route.
That's right.
Right.
And I don't need a fucking 20-year-old to tell me why I should or shouldn't like something. Let's let some adults sit in a room and have an open discussion about it, and then you make your own decision about it.
Yeah, I don't need a Facebook algorithm to tell me that my picture of Derek Benyard is bad.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Right. There you go.
But yeah, I thought that was really cool.
All right. Well, speaking of classic movies, we are going back, but not really back, because we're coming to America. That is basically the sequel of one of the most classic comedy movies from the late, great John Landis. Guys, weigh in. I know we were all very excited about watching this film. Go ahead. Who wants to start in on it?
Lee, go ahead.
I'll start. This, our 100th movie we're covering is Coming to Number 2, America. The 32 years afterwards.
30 years.
The original. It's Eddie Murphy's back as Prince Hakeem, and he's married to Lisa, the woman from the first film. They have children, and he finds out he has a son in America, and he has to return to America to get his son, who is the rightful heir to the throne of Zamunda. And listen, it is 100% nostalgia. It is every 5 minutes they're saying, remember this thing from the first one? Here it is again.
Yeah.
And you know what? I was fine with that. Is it as funny as the first one? No, it's PG-13, so obviously there's stuff that's not going to be in it. But it's just, it's basically, it's a fan film for people who love the first one. And it's like, will I watch it again? Probably not. But when he walked into the barbershop, Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall was playing, that's what I wanted to see, was just Eddie and Arsenio play different characters.
That's all I wanted. And
that's all I wanted.
And really, that's all it should have been.
Yeah.
Because everything outside of that is a fucking train wreck. It's just not. It's not a good story. It's a weird story. It's like the most hateable character in the whole fucking thing is a king.
It's Eddie Murphy.
And that, that couldn't have been intentional, I don't think. I get trying to drum up a story about a reason why you'd have to come back to the United States. I would have liked for it to have been something a little bit... I mean, come on, man. Sit in a room for an hour with a writer, and you can come up with something better than their whole tie-in, which I didn't like really at all.
How about this? How about King decides... James Earl, the king dies. Eddie Murphy, Prince Hakeem says, "We're going to do a different tradition. We're going to let my greatest, oldest daughter be the queen. But you've got to learn your roots. We're going to go to America, and I'm going to show you where we came from." And she gets stolen by some friggin' white people or somebody.
Or just something.
Or Wesley Snipes is in America, steals her, holds her for ransom. What? Yes. And now you've got this whole little caper going on.
Okay, calm down.
America.
Calm down. But
see, I just rewrote it, and it was much better.
To piggyback on what Lee said, when they do reintroduce, the old characters that are acted by Arsenio and Eddie, they're great. I mean, they're fine. It's exactly what they were. My biggest disappointment is I wanted new characters. I was,
sure.
When I saw the witch doctor, I was like, okay, here we go, cool. This is gonna that's the first one. They're gonna bring in more, and they just didn't.
They brought in new characters like a not funny Tracy Morgan and a not funny what's her face.
Tracy Morgan was fine.
He was fine, but he wasn't that funny.
Well, Eddie Murphy wasn't funny.
I didn't say Eddie Murphy was funny.
But it was very safe.
Very safe.
I mean, it was like, hey, let's not step on any toes here with anybody.
Let's dog out some white people. I would have been fine with it. Let's do something. I think the closest they got is in the barbershop when he's talking about, you can't touch the sarcatones.
Yeah.
They start talking about how you can't touch a girl anymore without getting in trouble, going to jail. That is about as edgy as it got.
Had some nice song and dance, right? I guess.
Yeah.
A lot of cameos, throughout. Morgan Freeman in there for 30 seconds, and some of the people from the original.
I thought them getting the twins for that rap at the end was pretty funny. How they found those two twins, that's great.
And Sexual Chocolate and all that, it's like...
I completely forgotten about Randy Johnson.
Yeah.
At the end. I wasn't even thinking about it, and they brought him up. That was pretty fun.
It was amazing. The funniest person and the character that made this whole thing for me was General Wesley Snipes, dude.
Oh, he's killed it.
He was on fucking point. Man, I forgot how much I enjoyed him in in comedic roles and how really natural.
How good he was in whatchamacallit in the last one.
How natural.
Dolomite.
How natural he just is with that, man. I mean, I think a lot of casting, whoever's doing casting and doing modern comedies, where they need somebody who can just naturally be a character and be just it almost just seems so like he's not even trying, dude. It was so fucking natural for him, organic.
Well, you go back to like the late '80s, like he was in like Major League and all this stuff, and White Man Can't Jump.
And he was
like he was a comedy star before he started doing action movies.
That's true.
Weird because you kind of forget about that.
Yeah, kind of like with Tom Hanks.
Yeah, exactly.
But
well,
same,
Tom Hanks will never be funny again.
Yeah, same but different. Right.
Same but yeah.
At least we see that he can be funny again. I don't think Tom Hanks can. Yeah, I agree.
He's doing movies about some guy who reads news in the Old West that no one will ever see.
Yeah.
Except Garrick. And
I actually have zero interest in watching that movie.
We'll see.
It looks like the least dynamic movie of all time.
Yeah.
You know.
I think
it was a movie, that would be it.
Yeah. I think one issue that I personally had with this, and maybe you guys fall into the same category, is after Dolomite and just how fucking perfect it was, I think that I just had an unreasonable expectation for this one.
See, this is kind of what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. I had an unreasonable expectation.
Because it was such an expensive movie.
Right.
I think had they given them less, I don't know. It being, when they said it was going to be PG-13, I knew it couldn't be, But at the same time, so many people want to see it. And it is one of the biggest streaming movies of all time.
So that's the biggest one of the last year.
Since the pandemic started.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it is what it is. It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
I did like
I'm not giving it a negative review at all.
No, I'm not trying to.
It's Eddie Murphy's greatest hits, the movie.
Yeah. I liked a couple little nuggets about it that I thought was cool. I love when his son, before he knows he's his son or whatever, goes to that interview and it's for the Duke and Duke investment firm or whatever. I thought that was a cool little nod to that movie. And you're watching this and the rooms that they're shot in, I mean, it's like, where the fuck are they doing this? They're doing it at fucking Rick Ross's house down in fucking Georgia.
Yeah.
Because apparently he owns like a fucking mansion down there that was big enough to act as a palace.
And he kept the set dressing.
Like a boss. Yeah, for real. I thought that was cool as shit.
He kept the what?
He kept the set dressing that they put up to make it look like Zamunda. Rick Ross just kept all that shit when they got done filming.
He's like, I just leave that up over there. I like it. I like to look at that. Yeah.
And I mean,
it was all set in Atlanta. All Zamunda was set in Atlanta. I'm telling you, man, Atlanta's becoming a hot spot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Crazy.
Pretty much all the Marvel movies are shot there now.
Yeah, the studio and the big studio down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like they said,
all the set stuff in Tyler Perry's studio.
Yes.
All the stuff that wasn't in Rick Ross's house. Pretty much everything else was filmed at Tyler Perry's studio, which is apparently ginormous.
Yeah. I think it's the biggest. Isn't it the biggest studio on the East Coast?
I think so. Yeah.
I think it is. Yeah. But like he said, I can't give it a negative review. I just can't.
No.
It was just, I guess I wanted it to be a little bit edgier, but at the end of the day, it's fun.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's fun. It's Coming to America, Part 2.
What I thought this was cool. They were actually going to have Samuel L. Jackson's character, Robin McDowell's, again, but Samuel L. Jackson's so busy he couldn't do it.
Yeah.
The one in Zamunda?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That would act like that. That would have been so random.
That would have been great. Yeah, that would have been perfect.
Like he's wearing the same costume and everything. Just Yeah.
So all right. So listen though, was it me? Yes, we all agree it's eye candy and whatever. But I hated Jermaine Fowler. I hated him. I hated Lavelle Johnson, his son. I hated him, and I hated Leslie Jones. I thought Leslie Jones was the most obnoxious character ever.
She was like Black Alice.
I mean, I don't know, man. I just didn't like her.
See what you say about the son. The son was kind of obnoxious.
Yeah, he was. Like, I didn't, he was, yeah, there's just something about him. It didn't work. I'm not real sure why I think it was just the casting. They could have done a lot of other guys.
It didn't really bother me.
So, yeah, Coming to America, fun, great, nostalgic, very safe, very predictable. Knew within 15 minutes that his daughter would end up being queen and homeboy would not end up being the king. Knew that was going to go down. Very, very predictable. But, again, it's Coming to America, and that's why you're watching it.
That's fun.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Well, what else did we watch? Did we watch other stuff?
I did.
Garrick, I watched a movie you mentioned last week.
Ooh, nice.
The Dark and the Wicked.
Did you like it?
I did.
It's very good.
It's very good, except it just, I mean, I just kept wanting them to, just put your dad in the car and drive him to the hospital.
You're exactly right. I think that was the only thing that I look back, and it's funny because River was watching this, and he's like, why don't they just tell the doctor to go, well, he didn't say these words, but why don't you tell the doctor to go fuck himself, put the dad in the back of the Subaru, and drive that motherfucker to some field and bury his fucking dead ass.
So I would have just said take him to the hospital and be like, oh yeah, our dad had a stroke, help him, and then just drive away.
Well, yeah, no shit. Take him to hospice. He's fucking dying. Take him to hospice. That was the big problem. Now, if
you and I have both written horror scripts, and I think one of the main things, the best example I can think of is American Werewolf in London. Their mistake was not staying on the road. And then they get attacked by a werewolf, and then the movie just kind of goes on. You want to kind of limit those mistakes as much as possible in horror movies.
Right.
But I call dumb white people mistakes. Like, who are these freaking, country-ass people in Kansas or whatever who don't, that are getting attacked by the devil? Just leave,
Right.
I don't know.
And they did a good job every now and then. She would leave the house. Sorry.
It's a very well-made movie. The scares are very effective. It's very creepy. When the preacher shows up in the middle of the night, that whole thing was it's very weird and very well done.
The carrot scene was ridiculous.
That was, yes. Yeah. I knew it was coming, but I still didn't want her to chop her fingers up.
Yeah.
And she just kept chopping.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think they tried to, I think that they did a really good job at the end where she tried to leave and she could hear her dad talking. Every time she would leave the house, you could hear dad moan that would kind of entice her to come back in. And how they did her brother, because her brother basically, I was like, that scene where he's like, he calls her and says, I'm not coming back, dude. I value my life. I'm leaving. Yeah, and then what happens next? I kind of liked all that. That was
a very good twist. The way his storyline ended.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's very good, man.
Yeah, very well thought out.
Yes, it felt like The Witch. It was creepy like The Witch.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes,
Okay.
but it had more of a. I don't want to say mainstream, but more of a regular horror. It added those sort of creepy things to The Witch, but it's more of a regular horror movie, and I mean that in a good way.
I gotcha.
There's a lot of people who would never watch The Witch that would watch this.
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
And the exact opposites of that I watched just last night. Well, I watched about half of it. I bailed out. Well, not half. I'd say at the beginning of the third act. I think I've seen parts of it on TV when I was a kid. Amityville 2, The Possession. I don't understand how this movie got made. Because Amityville came out in '79, was a huge hit. The book that was, about the Amityville bestseller, So in 1982, they hired some Italian dude who used to direct spaghetti westerns to make the sequel to the Amityville Horror. And it is no way, other than the house, it's not connected to the first film at all. Burt Young, Paulie from the Rocky movies, is the dad.
Nice.
There's an incest subplot between the brother and the sister.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, yeah, it's very uncomfortable to watch. The brother is possessed by some devil that lives in the basement. The beginning of the third act, he just massacres the whole family. Burt Young, all of them. Spoiler alert. Then the priest, who has sort of been a supporting character throughout the first two acts, suddenly becomes the main character. And I don't, like, the amount of cocaine that must have been flowing around when this movie was made, it's just weird. Not in a good way. Yeah. Like we were talking about Mandy, the movie's just off-putting, everything about it.
What's that on? Is that on Shudder?
It was on Shudder. And it's just, I don't know. That MGM made this movie is ridiculous. Because it is just it's unappealing.
Yeah.
The incest subplot is in no way resolved because he shoots his sister with a hunting rifle at the beginning of the third act. We didn't even finish it. We were just like, okay, that's enough of that.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's what I watched.
Okay. Lee didn't make it through a movie. That's crazy.
Well, he and I have that in common because I tried to watch a movie that, of course, I'm sitting around on a day when I have off and Jody has off is pretty rare. And she was off on Sunday. I didn't have to work, so we had all day. She just wanted to watch some movies, and she doesn't necessarily like the same style of movies that I do. And that's okay. So sometimes I get suckered into watching some stuff that I definitely am not going to like. On this particular instance, believe it or not, Jody is the one that about 25 minutes in said, "Can we please turn this off? I don't know what's happening. This is a train wreck." The movie that she put on for us to watch was the newest Charlie's Angels movie.
Ah.
It just is nonsensical, just fucking garbage, dude. And it looks like it was directed by a fucking third grader. It's just, nothing about it flowed. It just weird and not funny or entertaining in the least. And like I say, I think we got about 25 minutes in, and it got shit canned. So I said, okay, honey, pick something else out since your choice failed. I'm going to give you a bailout. So we found The War of the Roses from '89, Danny DeVito's. One of his, he's directed quite a few movies when you look back that I didn't even realize that he directed, but this one is probably his most popular, I would say.
Yeah.
Kathleen Turner and Michael Douglas, it's after Romancing the Stone, and they just had this on-screen connection, I guess. And it's true in this, but really this is just a cautionary tale for people who get in relationships. And, whether it's your job or maybe you're raising a kid or you're whatever you have that is kind of secondary in your life that ends up being your main thing and your relationship becomes secondary. This is a cautionary tale of just how batshit and out of control, I guess, that things can become, especially when you get two people who are very stubborn. It'd been a long time since I'd seen the movie, a really long time, and I really enjoyed it. But at the end of the day, I think Kathleen Turner's character kind of made it all happen more than Michael Douglas's character. I hate to choose sides, but I'm just saying.
God, she was
I do remember when she destroyed his car.
Yeah. When she's in, like, the big monster car that she has. Yeah, I mean, basically she just wants out of the marriage, and he's like, no. And he refuses to leave their mansion, and it just devolves into just this, just trying to hurt each other. And
yeah.
Cool movie, man. I mean, from '89, it looks great. It's very well paced. DeVito directed it and narrates it.
He's a lawyer in that, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't he their lawyer?
Well, he's a... Yeah.
What's that? What was that on?
I think it was just on Prime, but I might be mistaken.
That's a good movie.
It's a shame he never became a bigger director because that and Death to Smoochie, he had a really good eye as far as making slick-looking movies.
Yeah, Death to Smoochie was another one of his
Death to
eyes.
Smoochie is one of the funniest movies I've ever seen.
Matilda. My kids still watch Matilda. They love
Matilda's
Matilda.
a great looking movie. He has, he's like, the way he uses like wide angle lenses in his movies and everything just looks so like deep focus stuff. His movies look great.
Yeah. And this one does.
Yeah.
For 89. And, man, Kathleen Turner. This was probably right there at the end. When she...
Right before she went all to hell.
God damn it.
I mean, she doesn't look any better. Like Romancing the Stone.
I know. We're just not going to talk about it because, I mean, in 1989, that I was like, yeah, Kathleen Turner, that's what's up.
That's exactly.
Looking back, that was a bad choice.
Oh, no. She didn't age well like
No.
Kelly McGillis.
Oh.
Of course, Kelly McGillis probably never aged, but...
I'm not going to do what I did the other week, and I'm not going to bash on anybody. I'm going to be nice, okay? So the last movie that we watched, it was my choice, and I was kind of in a rush, and I was flipping through. She had done like that 1 week free preview of Stars, and they've got a bunch of movies on there that I wanted to watch.
You can just keep doing these. You guys keep doing this shit. Let me get this straight.
Okay.
Real fast.
I don't.
Lee
does.
You do a week on, and then you cancel, and then you go 2 months, and you're allowed to do another week on?
I know, not 2 months. They'll give you, I'd say 3-4 months.
It's like 90 days.
And then sometimes they'll give you a reduced rate. It'll give you like 99 cents for 3 months for Stars.
Oh, yeah. They're like, oh, sorry you're leaving. Sorry you don't like it. Here, let us give you this.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lee's more of like a ninja that way than I am.
Well, that's how, it's
it's smart.
It's definitely smart. We just
I told Jody she's got to tighten up her shit. My fucking cable bill coupled with all these fucking streaming. I'm...
Oh, you're probably at $220.
Quite a bit higher than that, unfortunately.
Wow, Jesus. See,
We're not going to talk about that. I was having a good day until...
All right, I'm sorry. All right, I got off on a tangent. Go
Okay,
ahead.
it's all right. So I found a movie that I don't think I had seen it since right around the time that it came out. The Vanishing.
Yes!
From 1993.
Yes!
With
Sandra Bullock goes missing.
Sandra Bullock and Kiefer Sutherland.
God, what a good movie.
And the creepiest fucking Jeff Bridges you could ever fucking drum up, dude. I mean,
I still make chloroform jokes about that movie.
He is a super creepy dude. This is one of those weird, and it's not like it never happens, but it doesn't happen very often where a movie is extremely successful, in Europe or Asia, and they bring the same director to Hollywood to remake their movie, okay? And George Sluizer made a movie called Spoorloos, because it's like a Dutch-French fucking movie. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right. In 1988, which basically translates to The Missing or like The Vanished. And it is a fucking excellent movie. It is fantastically paced.
Wait, which one? The Dutch one or the new one?
The Dutch one.
Okay.
See, and I watched the Americanized version before I watched the original. Spurlows. The original is the fucking shit, dude.
Where can you see Spurlows?
I don't know. I watched it years ago. But it's odd because what makes Spurlows so amazing is exactly what the director chooses not to do with The Vanishing.
They are very different movies.
The parts that he changes are the parts that he should not have touched. And that's the difference between them. Now, had you never heard of or watched Spurlows, or whatever the fuck it is, like you said, you're like, oh, The Vanishing, man, I love that movie. You know, I still do chloroform jokes, you know, whatever. You know, the idea of the movie, you know, and this creepy-ass dude, you know, wanting to do these kind of weird things to prove to himself just how fucked up he is. It's interesting. You know, and Jeff Bridges, I think he's great in it, although he's just so off-putting with the way he talks. Just come to the car. I'm Barney. Yeah. He's just fucking weird and very creepy. And, you know, back then, if I closed my eyes and was like, you know, like walking down in like a parking garage by myself somewhere and heard something, I'd think it was fucking Barney coming for me. You know, I couldn't stand his face, dude, and the way he talked, it just fucking hurt me. Still did when we watched this on Sunday.
Not real sure why she got in the car with him.
Well, I mean, go back and watch it again. If you've never seen it, I would kind of maybe recommend it, just because I think it has an interesting overall story. But if you can watch Sporlos instead, I would recommend you watch Sporlos and leave The Vanishing alone. If you cannot find Sporlos, then watch The Vanishing just so you can kind of get an idea of the story. Because I think it's a cool story. I think it's a unique story. But it's you know, one of those odd times where they bring in the same director and he just absolutely
shits the bed.
Well, it's almost like he did it intentionally so people would watch The Vanishing and hate it, and he'd be like, and
you can watch my first movie, The Sporlos.
Yeah, watch The Sporlos, and you know, maybe kind of amp that movie up even more than it already was. Although I'm telling you, it is a very, very well made movie, and it's a better movie than The Vanishing. But if you can't find it,
if you can't find Sporlos,
The Sporlos, then, you know, The Vanishing will just have to do.
Okay.
So that's what
I enjoyed The Vanishing very much.
I
haven't seen Sporlos.
I suggest you give it another day in court, because
I was very young and I was very creepy.
Well, it came out in 93, you know.
We were getting out of high school.
I really liked movies like this. You know, I was trying to find the movies with the psychos in them. And the psychos. And, you know, Jeff Bridges is a fucking creepy motherfucker in this, dude. I mean, he's extremely creepy.
Uh-huh.
Like, there's a scene where he's with his daughter and they're sitting on at this, like, house out in the woods that they have, like this cabin. And sits back and there's like a little basket full of sandwiches. And he's like, yeah, why don't you open up the basket and let's have our picnic. And she leans down, and the little girl's like 12 or 13 years old. Young enough to where this wouldn't be very fucking cool if you did it. And she opens up this basket, and it's full of fucking spiders. I didn't remember that from the last time I watched it. It actually kind of made me jump back a little bit. And all these spiders start crawling out, and she's screaming and all this, and he's like, oh, it's fine. It's only the spiders. You know, because he has such a weird accent and all. And, you know, it is what it is. If you're looking for something creepy from 93, check out The Vanishing. Or don't.
Or don't.
Yeah. Garrick, what about you, fella?
All right, well, we're running over, but I have to tell you about the two movies that I watched, because one of them was so badass that I can't even stand it.
Nice.
It's on Shudder. A group of old war veterans are getting together for the bartender's birthday, and they're going to go to the titty bar and get hammered at the VFW. And a girl in the same city steals some gnarly drugs from a drug dealer and ends up hiding at the VFW, which causes this big standoff. It is got Stephen Lang in it, William Sadler, Fred Williamson, Martin Cove. It's got George Wendt, all these guys as veterans. Joe Bigos, who did Bliss, is the director. It is to die for. I loved it.
What?
It's very good.
Is the name of the
VFW.
VFW. Okay, I didn't know.
It is so good. It's so 80s. The soundtrack is so good. Stephen Lang is so good. The blood is good. Everything is good. Everything is good about this movie. So you've seen this.
Yeah, it's pretty much, I would say, it's not a rip-off of Assault on Precinct 13, but it definitely borrows. It's very, there's a lot of Carpenterism in it.
Yeah.
I would definitely say that.
Yes.
But yeah, it's very good. It's probably my favorite movie of his. There's a lot of his movies I've seen that I don't care for as much. A lot of his earlier movies, but this is probably his best movie.
Oh, I thoroughly enjoyed it from the beginning. Like, William Sadler is hilarious. Stephen Lang, best performance ever. He's so good in this. Yeah, I loved it. You got to check it out. BFW.
I can't.
You can log into my Shudder and
Shudder let me down too many times for me to continue to give them $4 a month.
It is so incredibly good. The music, everything about it's awesome. And then another movie, speaking of the 80s, that takes me always back to the 80s, and it's always good. And it's been the movie that I have put on the list to watch or to rent or to pay for at $9.99 on Apple because I really wanted to see it. And then suddenly it pops up on HBO Max, The Lost Boys.
The original one?
Yes.
Oh, that's my shit.
It is my
that's
shit,
my motherfucking jam, son.
It is my shit, too.
Goddamn Frog Brothers, you better watch the fuck out.
Hell yes. God, what I hate about this place, freaking vampires.
Yeah.
Did I ever tell y'all about meeting the muscly saxophone guy?
No.
Well, guy, you mentioned him earlier, my buddy Jacob, that's his all-time favorite movie, Lost Boys.
Okay.
And a couple years, 3-4 years ago at the Horror Con in Charlotte, that guy was going to be there. He's, I think he was like Tina Turner's saxophone player for like 20 years. You know, he's an accomplished musician, but he was just giant, muscly guy in the 80s, and he, who played saxophone professionally. And I guess Joel Schumacher saw him and put him in the movie. Well, I went up to him and I got his autograph, and I found a mini poster there at the con for like $5 or $10, and I got him to sign it to Jacob. But then he said, "Hey, Jacob, do you want to take a picture with me?" And I didn't want to tell him I wasn't Jacob because he was so nice.
Oh no!
So I was just like, "Sure, man," and I took a picture with him. And then I just, next time I saw Jacob, I gave him the poster
And kept the picture.
And I showed him the picture. I said, "Here you go." I didn't have the heart to tell him it wasn't for me, But super nice dude.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And so is that movie.
Yeah.
Everything about that movie is it's up there with like the Goonies. Every time I watch it, it takes me back to my childhood.
It's that badass Kiefer.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's like when he was scary. I was like, damn, man, I don't want to run into this motherfucker, dude. Like, coming off of Stand By Me and then this.
That's what I was going to say.
Like, he was
He was probably, that was probably who he was.
I'm sure, man. I fucking love this dude, man.
Yeah.
He's Jack fucking Bauer, man.
Yeah, did you ever see him when he got drunk and attacked the Christmas tree?
Go ahead, Jared.
No, I was just talking about the time Keeper got really hammered and attacked the Christmas tree.
Well, it happens.
Yeah, it does.
It happens.
Maybe that Christmas tree was talking shit.
Yeah. That Christmas tree needed to shut the fuck up.
That's exactly right. Well, that's all I watched. So an action-packed week, and unfortunately for me, the movie I watched, VFW, was better than the highlighted movie. But that's okay. That happens sometimes.
That's okay.
It happens. I mean, it's it makes it worth it. Because
absolutely.
If you were to watch Coming to America and then watch two movies that weren't very good, it makes for a tough week. That's why I always have to throw in something that I know I'm going to like, or at least I try to at some point, so I can be like, okay, go back to normalcy action.
Absolutely. I agree.
Gotta have a palate cleanser.
There you go.
Absolutely. Well, I'm excited. We're going to take next week off. I've got to go to Utah to work, but when we get back, we're going to have a new look. We're going to have some new sponsors and some new stuff coming up. We're going to have a couple of guests here and there come on the show. We're also, now that we're getting close to the end of the pandemic stuff, maybe we can take this thing on the road again and do a couple of live. I'm getting ready to change up the studio and have like a set in the studio, so maybe we can do a couple more live shows and whatever. But
That'd be awesome.
We got some new stuff coming down the pipeline, but our next block I'm so excited about. Don't Mess with Texas. We got Killer Joe, some fried chicken. If you've never seen Killer Joe, you'll never look at a dadgum chicken wing or a chicken leg the same again if you've never seen Killer Joe. And then we got John Sal's masterpiece, Lone Star, and we've got Lee's masturbation piece.
You better believe it.
Extreme Prejudice.
Woo, Walter Hill and John Milius making a movie together.
Yeah.
If you don't like that, get the fuck out of here.
And Nick Nolte as a freaking bad fucking ass.
Oh, no doubt.
That is coming. Don't Mess with Texas. We'll see you in a couple of weeks, folks.